I'm Alex Degman, KMOX News Time, 11:08.
Hey, it's Rob Carson filling in again tonight on News Radio 1120 KMOX. We're going to get into the whole Jeff Sessions thing in a few and get your thoughts on it. 314-436-7900. Should he be removed from office? Should he resign 3 weeks into his tenure as Attorney General? Did the Ruskies throw the election? Your thoughts are welcome. I'd love to hear from you. I got to tell you that this guy in Illinois, the Republican Illinois congressman, who deemed in-person town hall meetings as not productive and compared them to being yelled out by Orientals. Wow, that's an expression I haven't heard in a while. Oh, buddy, you've got to upgrade your language. He says, the cleansing of the Orientals used to do where you'd put one person out in front of 900 people and yell at them. That's not what we need. Now, I get it. Republicans are getting a lot of this AstroTurf baloney thrown at them. Anger erupted at several Republican town halls last week, and it's all AstroTurf. It's BS. It's people who are sent there by Soros-affiliated groups, among others. Our former president, is involved in this and going to become more involved with this. And it's about creating a facade that there is a support for Obamacare, that there is an anti-Trumpism out there that is palatable. But to say that calling it the cleansing of the Orientals, you might want to kind of update that just a little bit. And I thought the whole Oriental cleansing was something else. That's just me. It's a dietary thing. It's fasting, and there's some tea involved, and things get kind of messy. Anyway, so the cleansing of the Orientals is what he said he's going through. Could you say a public flogging? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't you say a public flogging rather than the cleansing of the Orientals? I didn't even know that the cleansing of the Orientals existed, but anyway. Let's dive into this whole Jeff Sessions thing and get your thoughts on it. Let's start with the exchange. Jeff Sessions' confirmation hearings was asked by Al Franken about meeting with Ruskies with regard to the campaign with regard to the presidential campaign of Donald Trump. All right, here's the exchange. I'm going to play it, and I want to ask you your thoughts on this. Has he committed a perjurious act? Should he be removed from office? He recused himself today. And do you think the Russians really threw the election in favor of Donald Trump? The numbers are open, 314-436-7900 or 1-800-925-1120. Here's the original send, the exchange between Franken and Sessions.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
Okay, so he said that basically he did not have communications with the Russians with regard to the campaign. That's essentially what he said. Now, if you are a member of the Armed Services Committee, and I digested a lot of stuff about this today. If you are a member of the Armed Services Committee, you are going to brush elbows with all sorts of international diplomats. You are. It just happens. All right? Now, there were two meetings that Jeff Sessions apparently had. The first, July 2016 event for diplomats at the Republican National Convention. Not uncommon. I lived in D.C. You run into diplomats. The diplomat plate is probably bigger than the personalized license plate in Washington, D.C. I'm not kidding. There must be half the cars have diplomat plates on them. So they an event for diplomats at the Republican National Convention. I'm doubting they got together in the corner and said, okay, how is it going with throwing the election in favor of Donald Trump? Sessions like, we are working great. Very good. Let's do a shot of Stolichnaya. And then there was a one-on-one meeting in Sessions' former Senate office in September. And this was reported on March the 1st. He was there with several other people, and they met. And Jeff Sessions said this was not with regard to the campaign. All right? And okay, fine. Super. You may disagree. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. But some other people have come up, and like I said, I want to take you through this without getting so into the weeds about it. The main thing I want to say is that I don't believe the man perjured himself, and I think that if Democrats want him to resign from the Attorney General's office, you've got a case of premature resignation. All right, you just do. It's too much too soon. It's a little much. And honestly, if you are ready to surround the castle with pitchforks and torches, it's a little early on this. All right. Senator Sessions didn't perjure himself. Or I should say Secretary. Well, he was Senator, but Secretary of State, he didn't perjure himself. All right. Now, Claire McCaskill came out and said that Jeff Sessions had perjured himself, and she also said that she'd been on the Armed Services Committee for 10 years. No call or meeting with Russian ambassador, ever. Ambassadors call members of the Foreign Relations Committee. Well, apparently that wasn't true, because apparently she had met with and had phone calls with Russian dignitaries. In August of 2015, she tweeted about phone calls with British, Russian, and German ambassadors with regard to the Iran deal. And again, I'm trying not to make this sound so complicated, but it kind of is. And then she had a one-on-one meeting with a group of Russian dignitaries and the ambassador about international adoption. And this happened. Now, how do we know that this was about international adoption? And how do we know that this was about the Iran deal? I mean, it could have been that maybe she was working with trying to throw the election. I mean, honestly, right? Honestly? We're supposed to take her word that she's meeting with Russians and on the phone with Russians, but when it comes to Jeff Sessions, by God, he must have been talking about throwing the election. This is going to get so old after a while, guys. I'm telling you. People are already burnt out on the protests and the showing up at offices and wrecking stuff and burning stuff. And if you're doing this 40 days into it, it's going to backfire on you, particularly when you are taking something as small as this. I wouldn't even call it a slip during testimony to become the Attorney General. It's so nonsensical and pointless and small and not corrupt. I mean, how desperate do you have to be to want to ruin somebody for something that wasn't perjury? John is on the line. John has a comment. John, let's take him real quick before we go to the break. We're a little late. John, welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm one of the silent majority that's silent no more, and I'm tired of the Democrats, a dying party, by the way, that is constantly bellyaching, negative, and the people, as you just mentioned, are sick of it. Mr. Sessions ain't going anywhere. He's done nothing wrong.
No.
And it's ridiculous, sir, and we got a lot of work to do to bring this country back.
Well,
this party is hurting itself.
Yes.
And go ahead and let them do it. I don't care about them.
Well, John, they're not offering any solutions. They proved in the last 8 years they failed. The majority of people thought the country was going the wrong direction. Flat economy, flat GDP. Donald Trump has only been in office for 40 days. You've seen record low unemployment filings. You've seen housing starts go through the ceiling. You've seen the Dow Jones go above 21,000. And the more they want to keep belly aching and throwing rocks and doing all this stuff, the more it's going to hurt them. But I do appreciate your phone call. John, thank you for listening, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to get into the just some of the audio from Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and I'm telling you, it's. Well, I'm going to give Chuck Schumer an award for Best Actor tonight. He was almost better than when he started crying about illegal immigration. It's getting better, and the bigger they caterwaul, and the more that they bloviate, the more it's going to fall on deaf ears. I'll share the audio. Your thoughts on it. And now listen, if you disagree with him, you think Jeff Sessions is a war criminal and needs to be removed from office immediately because he's terrible, then please call me, 314-436-7900 or 1-800-925-1120. I'm Rob Carson on News Radio 1120 KMOX.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
Now, he's commenting about he didn't have communications with the Russians with regard to the campaign, all right? As a member of the Armed Services Committee, and I know this is getting into the weeds, and I hope you're not getting foggy. I mean, literally, I'm like, sniffing smelling salts to stay focused on this stuff. But Claire McCaskill also was on that Armed Services Committee. She also talked to Russian not agents, but, people involved with the ambassador and all of that stuff. She spoke to them in person about a variety of things. One of them being the Iran nuclear deal. How'd they get that uranium? Where do they get it from? I don't know. Just saying. And then the other one on there was some rigmarole in 2015 about limiting the possibility of making it more difficult to adopt Russian children. Now, we're supposed to take her word for it as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, but not Jeff Sessions, because Jeff Sessions is the Attorney General now, and he obviously perjured himself. And not so much. Not so much. But honestly, this caterwauling and this drama that Democrats are causing is not going to play well. When you've got something as small as that little exchange there, which is clearly not perjury, but you are yelling to the high heavens, this man must be removed from office. Now, he recused himself today. All right, he recused himself today. Here he is recusing himself from the investigation of the Trump campaign's possible connection, not likely, with the Russian government.
We evaluated the rules of ethics and recusal. I have considered the issues at stake. In fact, on Monday of this week, we set a meeting with an eye to a final decision on this question. And on Monday, we set that meeting today. So this was a day that we planned to have a final discussion about handle this. I asked for their candid and honest opinion about what I should do about investigations, certain investigations. And my staff recommended recusal. They said that since I had involvement with the campaign, I should not be involved in any campaign investigation. I have studied the rules and considered their comments and evaluation. I believe those recommendations are right and just. Therefore, I have recused myself in the matters that deal with the Trump campaign.
Okay, there you go. All right, so he made that very clear today. He's going to recuse himself. I refuse myself in front of the mirror every day. I go, oh, God, you look terrible. But he recused himself from the investigation. All right, so he's no longer involved in it. We have some more audio I want to get to the drama from Charles Schumer. It just is spectacular. But we do have some people online who want to comment. Russ, hello, Russ, and welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX. Your thoughts, my brother.
Good evening. Checking in to make sure I didn't get a silver alert put out on me.
Okay.
What Jeff ought to do tomorrow is like a boxer. Come out of the corner and just start drilling and say, I want to thank the people who asked me to recuse myself because now I have the time to lock her up and her husband and Lynch and Chelsea and the whole group. And I'm going to ask for an order from the court to open up the governor's file in Hawaii to see the paperwork on Obama. I will make this thing into a forest fire with Democrats, for which they would never, ever have started.
All right, Russ, thanks for the phone call. Let's go to Rusty on the line. Rusty, welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX. Your thoughts, my friend?
Good evening, gentlemen. Maybe I'll just share my one little thought with it.
Please.
On the Jeff Sessions thing, the same people that are wanting to get that guy out of office are represented by a congresswoman who is accused of doing exactly the same thing. But nobody has asked for her resignation.
Now, are we talking about McCaskill? Who are we talking about here?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, McCaskill was not. She didn't testify in front of Congress, so there's a difference there. But she did say the same thing as a member of the Armed Services Committee. She did not meet with Russians, and she did because this happens in Washington D.C. Rusty, it happens.
That's right.
It just
the man
happens.
Was a senator when it all happened.
Yes.
And that's, it's the same group of people that, for instance, decided to make a trade-off of 5 confirmed terrorists.
Yeah.
For one man.
For a traitor, for Bo Bergdahl, a traitor. 5 Taliban
traitor,
generals. Yep.
Decide to throw a party for the hero at the Rose Garden.
Yeah. And let's not also forget, Rusty, by the way, don't forget the Secretary of State who somehow finagled a deal with a Canadian company to give the Russians 20% of our uranium deposits. And at the same time got just a marvelous amount of money deposited into her now defunct charity. So let's not forget that.
I think the best idea that they had, the same people that want Sessions out, are the ones that support the idea of a grown man being able to wear a dress and be able to share a bathroom with your 13-year-old daughter. I think that's the best idea they've come up with yet.
All right, Rusty. Thank you, my brother. That's quite an Evel Knievel leap from one subject to the other, but I greatly appreciate your thoughts. Your thoughts are welcome. 314-436-7900. I'll provide a little more clarity to the Jeff Sessions issue tonight. Some talking heads talking about it. We got to get to Chuck Schumer. It is just brilliant acting. I'm going to share that coming up next. But again, I'd love to hear your thoughts. 314-436-7900. 1-800-925-1120. I'm Rob Carson on KMOX.
Local reporters to cover local stories. News Radio 1120 KMOX.
Sing with me, comrades. You sounded like Count Chocula there. Oh, crank it up. We got to hear the Russian national anthem here. 3 weeks into the tenure of our Attorney General, the Democrats are already calling for his head on a pike, apparently, because of an exchange between him and Al Franken. I know, Al Franken. He's a senator. I got to kind of pinch myself. It's funny. Because he said that he did not meet with the Russian ambassador with regard to the Trump campaign, but didn't mention that he had 2 events. One, the Republican National Convention with a bunch of diplomats, and then another office meeting as senator with the ambassador and a couple of other people from his office. So that's, the whole world is burning down. Now, Claire McCaskill, also a member of the Armed Services Committee, said she never met with the Ruskies either, but she actually did. She actually did. She had a one-on-one meeting about the Iran nuclear deal. Where'd they get their uranium? And then also about adoption of Russian children. That was, I believe, a phone call. No. The phone call was the Iran nuclear deal. The face-to-face meeting was the adoption thing. So, yeah, it's honestly, it's a little bit of, like I said, premature resignation. That's what the Democrats are suffering from. I think they get a little excited. They just get a little excited. And they need to just kind of focus on, baseball or ice cream, and then the feeling will kind of go away a little bit. Give you a chance to focus. Mike is on the line. Mike has some thoughts on this. Mike, welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX.
How you doing?
Good.
Rob, here's my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Do I think he should be removed? No. And I don't blame him for protecting himself. And the reason I say that, number one, it's like passing the buck, and if they don't have no proof, it's, like cooking your goose, so to speak, and lie. But just because you don't like the person on either side, what proof do they got? I mean, where's all the facts? Now, if you can come up with some proof with the tape recorder and actually prove it, that'd be a different story. Yeah. But I don't blame him. So if he's not guilty, why not protect yourself? And do I believe the Russians hacked anything? Absolutely not. I didn't support Donald Trump, and I didn't support Hillary Clinton, but I believe in being fair. I just think they just like to pass the buck.
Well, Mike, I think the Russians, listen, dude, every country in the world tries to hack every other country. China is hacking us daily. The Russians hacking us daily. Hell, even Israel. Even Israel hacks us. This is not uncommon. As far as upsetting the election, didn't happen. And it did not happen. The Trump administration was not involved with the Russians. It makes no sense. Why would the Russians want anybody but Hillary Clinton, who bumbled her way into the State Department and gave them a reset button that said overcharge, and versus Donald Trump, who is a defense hawk? Who would you rather have, bumbling idiot or defense hawk who wants to increase the military budget by $53 billion this year? Who would you rather have, and why would the Russians want him in office?
I don't think they would.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either, Mike.
A lot of people don't like Donald Trump. I didn't vote for him, and I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I voted for the Constitution Party. And I think, the one thing I got real quick, I think would help if they get rid of the Electoral College. I'm not really a party person. I'd rather vote for the person.
No, I don't agree with that. I think we disagree, Mike. The Electoral College exists for a while. Otherwise, New York and California own the country. So I thought it worked well. But we agree to disagree, my brother. Greatly appreciate you listening to me tonight.
Okay.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Here's Greg Jarrett on Fox talking about why this wasn't perjury.
I mean, you're always going to have people like Nancy Pelosi who today, hauled off in a news conference and pronounced Sessions guilty of perjury, denounced him as a liar, and demanded his resignation. I mean, nothing's going to convince Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and a variety of other people on Capitol Hill because,
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer do not believe that he perjured himself. They are just looking for chum in the water. They do not believe it. Are you kidding me? If they do, they are the worst examples of evidence gatherers in the history of mankind. As far as legislators, if they look at this as perjury, they're fools. They don't believe it. They're just looking for any reason to convince you that it happened.
It appears they want to take down Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump, and they're trying to use this inappropriately. I mean, I take my hat off to you. If more reporters, Neil, had played the full question and answer as you did, then I don't think there would be such controversy surrounding this.
He's talking about the exchange between Al Franken and Jeff Sessions during the hearings where he was up for Attorney General before he was approved.
I mean, if Jeff Sessions didn't talk about the election itself with the Russian ambassador, if he didn't exchange information about the campaign, then there's no perjury. He's not lying, and he answered the question. And I don't even think, I would slightly disagree with Judge Napolitano. It doesn't remotely constitute, it seems to me, misleading Congress. He was asked a question, and he answered it pretty directly. Yeah, he was caught off guard. You could kind of tell that he was surprised by this new information in a report that had just come out.
Right. Okay, now here is the original sin, the exchange between Franken and Sessions. We heard it earlier.
If there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign, what will you do?
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians.
As a surrogate for the campaign, Armed Services Committee member, just like Claire McCaskill. All right, your thoughts on this, and then we're going to move on to other stuff. We got until the top of the hour. We've got some great. I still want to get to Chuck Schumer and his Oscar-winning performance today. Wow. The number here, 314-436-7900. Did Jeff Sessions perjure himself? Did the Russians throw the election? Your thoughts are welcome. My name is Rob Carson. You are listening to News Radio 1120 KMOX.
Get ready for the Blues and Winnipeg Jets Friday night. Independent Tire Dealers pregame show 6:30. The puck drops at 7. Chris Kerber and Kelly Chase have all the action on your home for best Blues coverage. KMOX.
So Democrats are calling for the head of Jeff Sessions. They're saying that he perjured himself when he was... Sorry, honestly, wow. Really? Okay. Perjured himself during an exchange with Al Franken when he was being considered for Attorney General. He eventually became, of course, the Attorney General. I'll just play this one more time here real quick.
If there is
we move ahead forward to it a little bit. Here we go. There we go.
Activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it.
Okay, so Al Franken asked if he was a surrogate, as a surrogate for the Trump campaign, if he met with the Russians, and he basically said, no, as a surrogate for the campaign, no, but he was a senator. You know the story. Anyway, I want to get to the drama today from Chuck Schumer, and he really got down with it today because he is trying to convince you that Jeff Sessions needs to be removed from office. So he's got to paint a picture that he has committed one of the gravest sins, with that little exchange, one of the gravest sins you could possibly do under oath. So I need my Oscar music. Hold on a second here real quick. All right, here we go. Here is Chuck Schumer setting up his remarks today. You can hear it in his voice.
When I read the revelations regarding Attorney General Sessions' contact with the Russian ambassador and his decision to mislead Congress about those contacts, I felt a knot in the pit of my stomach.
Wow.
I worried about the future of our country with foreign influence in our elections. It goes to the very wellspring of our democracy.
Oh, my goodness. Bravo, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have the envelope, please? And the envelope for Best Overactor in Washington goes to, hold on, Chuck Schumer. Bravo. Now, this is on the heels of his previous performance, speaking about Trump's immigration policy, where he actually welled up some tears. Check it out.
This island. This executive order.
Oh, did you hear the sniffle?
Was mean-spirited and un-American.
Did you hear the cameras just went nuts when he started crying? It always happens.
You can act like a man. What can I do? This how you turn down a Hollywood Pinocchio?
All right. I honestly, wow, embarrassing, embarrassing as a senator and as a man. Jeff is on the line. Jeff, welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX. Let me kill my Oscar music here. Go ahead.
Hey, that's a funny clip. I don't know if it's scarier that he believes people will buy that or the fact that some people do, but it's just ridiculous.
I know.
Wasn't Rush back in 2008 when he said that he hoped that President Obama's would fail because of his liberal policies? Wasn't he just excoriated in the press?
Oh, yeah.
Well, here we have the Democratic machine actively working at every level, 6 weeks into a presidency, trying to make him fail. Yeah. Where's the outrage?
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to hear Trump come out and say that he does not want and would not accept Jeff Sessions' resignation. And that any facts that come through leaks instead of through official channels, if it comes through the press, that he's not even going to address it. Because it's not going to end. It's going to go from this to the next one to the next one to the next one.
That's exactly it. It's going to fall on deaf ears eventually as we watch the economy continue to come around, as we watch American jobs come back and all this stuff. I was saying, comparing like the comments between Jeff Sessions and Al Franken, comparing that to perjury would be like saying popping his it is surgery. Was that a good analogy?
Well, there you go. Hey, I really enjoyed the show, and I appreciate your hearing me tonight.
All right, Jeff. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your phone call. Let's go to John on the line. John, welcome to News Radio 1120 KMOX. I'm Rob Carson. Your thoughts, please.
Oh, hi, Rob. By the way, that rhymed. What are those rhymes called? They're like 3 lines long, 3 or 4 lines long at the most. They're short rhymes.
Haiku? I don't know.
Yeah, you rhymed. I think it was a haiku. You rhymed perjury and surgery.
Yeah, if this is perjury, then popping his it is surgery. How's that? Okay. I know it's not the most tasteful description of this, but it's about the same. It's very analogous.
Well, I don't agree with you, but I like the line.
Okay, thanks.
First of all, I don't think I think it was humorous. I don't think he should step down. I think recusing himself is a good idea.
Yes,
but I do think he was untrue, and here's why. Okay. You had mentioned that Al Franken asked him if he was a surrogate of the Trump campaign, and you said that he asked him whether or not he talked to the Russians. Well, Al Franken didn't ask him either one of those things.
Okay.
Right? He only asked them if there were some surrogates in the Trump campaign that talked to
Gotcha.
Russians.
I see.
What would he do?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So then it went to that he said he has been called a surrogate, and I haven't talked to the Russians. So I think he was not truthful. Yeah. I don't know if it's perjury. He did not tell the truth, and
But he did say he was not a surrogate with the campaign. Do you see what I'm saying? So as far as when he connected with him on the...
No, he said he's been called a surrogate.
Yes, and that's where he was saying that with relation to the Russians...
The campaign.
Not with the campaign. So I'm glad he recused himself. John, I greatly appreciate listening.
But he did not tell the truth when he said he did talk to the Russians, and no matter how he described himself, he wasn't even asked that. And he just said, I didn't talk to the Russians. That's what I... All
right, well, Claire McCaskill did the same thing, but not under oath, I guess. John, thank you for listening, my brother. Another hour of the show right ahead, 314-436-7900. I'm Rob Carson on News Radio 1120, KMOX.